Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from Australia and the UK, co-production, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Jesse O'Brien, and this film is called Two Heads Creek. So Two Heads Creek is about a brother and a sister who live in the UK. They own a family-owned butcher, and their mother was Polish, so she's since passed on, but then they realise it wasn't actually their real mother. Their real mother resides in a place called Two Heads Creek in Australia. So when they're actually shocked by what they learn, they decide that they want to travel all the way across the other side of the world in order to meet their real mother. But when they get to Two Heads Creek, they realise there is something off about this town and they may not come back out alive. And so whether or not that's the case is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now our thoughts on Two Heads Creek. This movie took so long to watch. Now it's a movie I've known about for a very long time, but it's one of the most poorly marketed movies I've seen in a very long time. When it comes to Australian cinema, the film industry, outside of Hollywood, then they're not very confident that films are going to sell. So they definitely go under the radar. You actually have to go out of your way to actually find these sorts of movies, and that's a shame to say because this is a local sort of film. Yes, it is a co-production, but it takes place in Australia. It's predominantly Australian, so I don't know why the Australian film industry aren't more keen to actually go and showcase what Australia has to offer to the world, especially to locals. When I'm sick of seeing Hollywood horror films, Hollywood, and then you come across Australian horror films that are definitely going under the radar, it's just a real disappointment. So it's not something that's just confined to Australia. Outside of Australia, you've got numerous countries that just don't have the confidence that their own stuff is going to sell. So it's all about mainstream Hollywood. So for the longest time I was waiting for this movie. The anticipation was starting to wear off a little bit because it actually took me quite a few years to actually track down this film. I wanted to watch it properly. I didn't want to download it. And so when it finally came on a streaming service here in Australia called Stan, I thought, now I'm going to take my opportunity to watch it. And so after watching Two Heads Creek, I will say that's not the worst horror film going around. There were actually some likeable qualities to this movie, but unfortunately there was one glaring problem I had that I couldn't help but feel and I couldn't shake off. And that's something we'll go into a little bit later, but what I really liked about Two Heads Creek is that it is very Australian. You are going to like this movie better if you are a local and you can understand the Australian humour, and you will appreciate this movie more if you are familiar with Australian television. If you've grown up watching soap operas or local shows, then this is a film that will actually make you smile, because when you see the faces, you just think to yourself, oh, I haven't seen this person in quite a long time, and they're having a lot of fun portraying themselves in a way that is very entertaining. And so the entertainment value to this movie is present, and that's what I liked about it. It wasn't a waste of time. Yes, the movie has issues, but I thought as though it was fun to watch from start to finish, and so it never outstays its welcome. It never gets to the level of being mediocre, and that's something that I really have to praise the film for. And so as far as script is concerned, as I said, locally, this is a film that's going to do a lot better as far as humour. Australian humour, parts of Australian humour are very specific to that local area. So if you are an outsider and you don't really find this movie funny, I can understand why. But for me, it actually made me laugh a few times, surprisingly. I wasn't expecting to laugh, but there was actually a few moments that I sure thought were really, really well done. So the overall comedy self-awareness is there, and it really understands what it is to make someone laugh, and because of that, this comes through very naturally, and I thought that was good. So the overall idea is very far-fetched. I like the fact that it is had commentary on foreigners and immigrants, and that's something that I liked as well. It was used in a very creative way, so that was good. So the overall setup of Two Heads Creek is actually pretty decent. Although it is fairly predictable, I just thought to myself, alright, well that's a pretty interesting idea that they actually used. I'm not going to give anything else away, but I actually thought that was pretty well done. So the overall acting, as I said, the performances were very over the top. It is a horror comedy, so don't go in there expecting something that's going to be only a film that's going to make you feel down in the dumps. I thought the gore effects were absolutely fantastic as well. That's something I really have to make note of, is that the gore was very practical in a lot of the scenes, and that's something that really surprised me. And so if you are a gore hound, then you're going to really like the way that Two Heads Creek goes about its business as far as really grossing out an audience through blood and guts. So the overall film is very quick. It only goes for 85 or so minutes, and so it's over before you know it, and it doesn't give itself an opportunity to really dwell on the issues that the movie has. And the biggest issue I had with this film is that it always felt like it was hurrying itself. I felt as though it had a really good idea, but it's just very impatient to get to that idea, and I thought a lot of things were glossed over, and I thought a little bit more time and attention to certain aspects of the film, I thought it would have made it a lot better, because it just wouldn't have felt as skimmed as it actually is. It needed to be drawn drawn out just a little bit more. So you get the overall revelation as to what's going on, and then all of a sudden it's over before you know it. So I felt as though it was just a little bit too quick for its own good. Whether or not that was budget constraints, I don't know. But for me, just the hurried sort of value that the film has, I just thought really got in the way of fully absorbing yourself and fully gravitating to the overall situation. It's a horrifying situation, but you just don't really have time to really seek through and actually experience it. I just thought to myself, all right, you're rushing yourself a little bit, and it just doesn't really have that rewarding quality that I really wanted. So that was the biggest issue. Again, it is a predictable film, and so that's something that I'll also say, that I knew what was going to happen as far as who was going to live, who was going to die, and so that was a little bit of a shame that the predictability was there. I thought the overall story was fairly creative, but unfortunately the way that the tells the story was actually quite formulaic. And so that was very familiar, and unfortunately that's another negative that I have of the movie. But pushing that aside, if you are Australian, it has really well-known Australian actors. It has a very Australian feel to it, Australian slang, also an Australian soundtrack by the Skyhooks. I love the Skyhooks, and it was really good to see their songs in this film. So if you are an Australian, it will really appeal to you. If you're outside of Australia, I can understand why it might not gravitate to you as much. But I thought as though, as far as horror comedy is concerned, it's definitely a cut above a lot out there. It's not brilliant, but again, it's far from being a bad film. And so overall, for Two Heads Creek, going to give this one 2.5 stars. It's a lot of fun. Don't take yourself seriously, and you could actually enjoy it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.